What if I told you the greatest risk in your life right now is not being too bold, but being too quiet? Welcome, Radiant Leo. This is a deep dive horoscope reading just for you, and not just any reading. This is a cosmic intervention. A wake-up call from the universe itself, asking, why are you dimming your light when you were born to lead? You didn't land on this video by accident. And no, it's not random that in the sea of endless content, this message found its way to you. The timing is divine. The pull you felt to click, that was a whisper from something greater. Take a breath. Really, pause. What if this very moment is the one that shifts everything? Because right now, Leo, you're standing at the edge of something extraordinary. But there's also danger, and not the kind that roars loudly. It's quiet, subtle, almost invisible. It's the danger of holding back. Of letting fear speak louder than your fire. You felt it, haven't you? That tug of war inside, the part of you that knows you're meant for more, and the part of you that questions whether you're ready. But here's the truth, readiness isn't a destination. It's a decision. The universe is ready when you are. And this reading? It's not here to give you permission. It's here to remind you that you never needed it. In Buddhist thought, we learn that the present moment is the only true ground we ever have. And when we avoid stepping into our full truth, we suffer, not because the world punishes us, but because the soul begins to ache for expression. So I ask you now, gently but clearly, what is the story you've been afraid to live out loud? What creation, truth, love, or leadership have you buried beneath, maybe later? Let's not wait. Leo, this is your moment. And this video, this message, it's the mirror you've been guided to face. Because your destiny is not waiting for you somewhere far away. It's right here, right now. It's on the line. But here's the beautiful thing. When a Leo stops hiding, the world remembers how to shine. So before we dive deeper, let me take a heartfelt moment to say thank you. Your presence here, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions, they are not just numbers. They are soul signatures. Every interaction you make helps grow this sacred space we call eternal mindfulness. Your support keeps this light alive, and allows us to deliver these messages to those who need them most. And believe me when I say, you'll want to stay with me until the very end today. Because what the universe is revealing for you is beyond extraordinary. Now, tell me, what's the angel number that's been following you lately? Drop it in the comments below, not just as a reply, but as an activation. A sign. A declaration. I'm ready. Let's begin this journey together, not just to listen to fate, but to shape it. Sometimes the moment we decide to stop hiding feels quiet. There's no applause, no dramatic shift, just a gentle recognition inside the heart that says, I'm ready to be seen. And yet, that quiet inner decision can echo louder than any roar. For Leo, a sign born under the rulership of the sun itself, this decision is not just personal, it's cosmic. You are not here to blend in. You are here to embody the full spectrum of your fire, and this week, the energies are aligning in a way that urges you to step out from the shadows of self-doubt and into the radiance of your true expression. There is a reason the cosmos now puts emphasis on the 5th and 10th houses in your chart. The fifth house governs creativity, joy, and the innocent act of play, where your inner child finds voice. The 10th house, by contrast, is about public presence, career, and legacy. When these two houses light up at once, the universe whispers a powerful message: your joy is not separate from your purpose. That which makes you feel most alive is not a luxury, it's a calling. And it's time to live as though that's true. The expression card, paired with the 3 of Pentacles, confirms this message in the most grounded and graceful way. It reminds you that you don't need to go it alone. Collaboration, community, and aligned partnerships are available to you now, but only if you are willing to show up authentically. People are drawn not to perfection, but to presence. Your voice, your art, your leadership, it doesn't have to be polished. It just needs to be real. There is a certain liberation that comes when we stop curating ourselves for acceptance and begin expressing from a place of sincerity. Like a flame that doesn't ask for permission to burn, your light becomes most beautiful when you stop trying to control its direction. In quiet stillness, you might sense that all the energy you've been using to hold yourself back can now be redirected into creating something meaningful. A project. A message. A truth. Something that reflects the essence of who you are beneath the performance. Expression, after all, is not always loud. Sometimes it's found in the smallest acts, speaking a boundary aloud, choosing a color you love even when no one else would wear it, writing a sentence that feels raw and true. These are sacred acts of reclaiming your story. You don't need a spotlight to shine. But the irony is, when you shine from within, the spotlight comes to you. It's important to understand that self-expression is not a selfish act. It is, in truth, a form of offering. Just as a tree doesn't withhold its blossoms for fear they won't be admired, you too are allowed to create, to speak, to show up, regardless of who watches. When we fully inhabit our essence, we return something vital to the world, the permission for others to do the same. Let this be a moment where you ask yourself, what truth have I been holding inside, waiting for the right time to release it? And then, consider the possibility that now is already right. That waiting has served its purpose. That everything you felt building inside you isn't there by accident. It's been gestating, forming, readying itself for birth. Just as clouds do not resist the wind, you do not need to resist your own becoming. There is a natural intelligence in you that knows how to unfold. The same intelligence that causes a flower to open, one petal at a time. No rush. No comparison. Just the sacred act of revealing. So today, speak what wants to be spoken. Sing what aches to be sung. Paint, write, dance, or simply live in a way that feels like home. Your expression is not a performance, it's a remembering. And your remembering is someone else's liberation. Let it begin now. Let it be imperfect. Let it be yours. There's a moment in every journey when passion meets a crossroad. For someone with your fire, Leo, that moment often arrives in silence, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is. After deciding to step forward and express your truth, what naturally follows is the urge to act, to leap, to go all in. And yet, not every open door is meant to be walked through all at once. Not every spark is meant to become a wildfire. The card gambling reminds us of this subtle truth. Sometimes, wisdom sounds like patience. Sometimes, the boldest thing we can do is pause. This isn't a warning meant to dim your drive or suppress your ambition. Rather, it's an invitation to channel that power with greater precision. The energy around you is expansive, yes, but without intention, even the brightest light can become scattered. You've likely felt it before, a strong impulse to trust someone too quickly, to dive into an idea before grounding it, to invest time or energy without knowing the terrain. These moments don't define failure. They simply show us where discernment is still growing. And Leo, this is where your inner flame becomes something greater than charisma. It becomes clarity. There is an ancient principle that says, before you step, know where your foot will land. Not to foster fear, but to cultivate mindfulness. It's easy to believe that acting boldly means going without a plan. But true courage is not blind. It sees the full picture, risks and all, and chooses the most aligned path. What this card asks you now is not to stop dreaming, but to ask yourself, what is worth betting on? And what have I not fully considered? Risk, in its purest form, is neutral. It becomes dangerous only when tied to desperation or illusion. When we invest in something, whether it's a person, a business, a move, or an emotion, out of urgency, we risk more than failure, we risk depletion. Your energy, your time, your attention, they are currency. They deserve to be spent with awareness, not just hope. And no matter how much you want to believe in something or someone, it's okay to ask the hard questions before surrendering your all. This is a powerful moment to revisit what I call the fast risk check-in. It's simple, but honest. First, ask yourself, am I choosing this from alignment or from fear of missing out? Second, have I gathered enough information to move forward with confidence, not just emotion? And third, if this doesn't go as planned, what am I willing, and not willing, to lose? Use this moment to journal your thoughts. Create a short financial or energetic blueprint if you're on the verge of a big decision. Write down what you know, what you assume, and what you still need to discover. Let the process slow you down just enough to bring your awareness fully into the now. You'll find that the answers you seek often come not from pushing forward, but from listening inward. And here's something no one tells you enough. Caution is not weakness. It's a form of devotion. Devotion to your future self. Devotion to the dreams you're nurturing. You were not born to gamble your light away. You were born to place it where it will grow roots. This isn't about playing small, it's about playing wisely, with the kind of foresight that builds not just a spark, but a sustainable flame. You already know how to roar. Now's the time to learn when to listen. The Leo who survives the storm isn't just the one who shines the brightest, it's the one who knows where and when to rise. Ask yourself, where am I called to act boldly? And where am I being asked to wait with grace? The answer may be quieter than you think, but it will always ring true. Power doesn't always announce itself with noise. Sometimes, it returns through stillness, like a flame that remembers how to burn after being sheltered too long. Following the insight of restraint, the next natural step is not about waiting for the right moment, but realizing that you are the one who decides when the moment begins. For you, Leo, this is not about reclaiming control over others or circumstances, it's about reclaiming authorship over your own experience. That subtle, sacred shift from reacting, to choosing. When we speak of personal power in astrology, we're not referring to external titles or roles. The Power card, along with the King of Wands and the Emperor, speaks to the sovereignty of inner leadership. This kind of authority doesn't need to dominate, it simply is. These archetypes appear when it's time to stop second-guessing and instead start acting as the guardian of your own energy. You are not just navigating a path anymore. You are shaping it. And yet, claiming this role requires clarity. If your energy has been stretched too thin, spread across obligations, expectations, or dynamics that drain more than they give, this is the moment to call it back. Boundaries are not walls. They are agreements with life about how you wish to be treated and what you are no longer willing to sacrifice in the name of peace. Saying no can be a radical act of self-respect. And for Leo, who is wired to love deeply and lead generously, remembering where to draw the line can be the first step toward real strength. You may notice this week that situations or relationships that once seemed acceptable suddenly feel misaligned. This isn't because something broke. It's because you've expanded. What once fit now feels too tight. Instead of shrinking back to make others comfortable, consider this your sign to expand fully, with grace. This is not about rebellion. It's about return, to self, to purpose, to centeredness. There's a quiet practice that helps here. You might call it the ultimate decision. Today, choose one action, small or large, that symbolizes the version of yourself you are ready to live into. Maybe it's a bold message sent. Maybe it's declining something that once earned your automatic yes. Maybe it's standing in front of the mirror and reminding yourself, I lead my life with clarity and calm. What matters is that this choice breaks a pattern, however gently, and affirms your presence as the one who decides, not the one who adapts. The teachings of mindful awareness remind us that true leadership begins with observing the mind. If you cannot govern your own thoughts, how can you govern your world? The Emperor, when truly embodied, leads not through force, but through stability. The King of Wands leads not through ego, but vision. And the Power card reminds you that your most important domain is your own state of being. So ask yourself gently, where am I giving away authority in exchange for approval? Where have I allowed noise to drown out intuition? And most importantly, am I waiting for permission I don't actually need? The answers won't come as lightning bolts. They'll arrive slowly, in the steady way of inner truth. You don't need to fix everything at once. You simply need to stand up, even quietly, and choose to be your own center again. From there, everything recalibrates. Leo, you were never meant to follow. But leadership begins not by charging forward, but by standing still, anchoring into your purpose, and choosing the next step with your whole being. That's where real power lies, not in the roar, but in the knowing. Planning for the future isn't about controlling what's to come, it's about aligning your present with a vision that brings your whole being into coherence. After reclaiming your sense of power, there's a natural pull toward expansion. You've remembered that you are the one who gets to lead your life, not simply move through it. Now, the invitation is to lift your gaze, not just toward what's next, but toward what truly matters. For Leo, whose heart often beats in the rhythm of the moment, cultivating foresight isn't about abandoning spontaneity. It's about creating a life structure that honors your fire long after the excitement fades. The message behind the foresight card is not just to look ahead but to look deeper. What systems are silently shaping your life? What routines, financial patterns, emotional cycles are quietly determining what's possible and what isn't? The Ten of Pentacles enters here to remind you that wealth isn't just money, it's legacy. It's the lasting impact of your values expressed through action, stewardship, and commitment. Whether it's a business, a family, or simply a way of living that feels aligned, the path to abundance asks for care, not chaos. In astrology, the emphasis on the second, fourth, or ninth houses points us toward tangible foundations. The second house governs income and self-worth, the fourth speaks to home and roots, while the ninth opens the door to expansion through learning, travel, and long-term vision. When these areas are activated, it's not about rushing into a move or chasing the next big thing. It's about asking, what am I building that can hold me and others over time? Wealth is not always instant. True prosperity unfolds through rhythm, patience, and consistency. There's a practice that supports this clarity. Imagine your life 3 years from now, not in vague hopes, but in detail. Where do you live? What do your mornings feel like? How do you earn, give, and spend your energy? Rather than fixating on achievement, focus on quality. Then, reverse engineer. What one decision today moves you one step closer to that vision? You may want to draw it out, make a simple diagram, or even sketch a roadmap on paper. This isn't about perfect planning. It's about placing your attention where it becomes a bridge between the now and what's unfolding. At the same time, you're encouraged to look at the structures you already have, especially financially. Often, we inherit not just beliefs but behaviors around money, effort, and deservingness. Creating a basic, honest plan for your finances is one of the most grounded spiritual practices you can engage in. When your energy has a container, it can expand freely. Abundance flourishes when it knows where to land. Like a river that knows the shape of its banks, your creative fire becomes more sustainable when directed with intention. Without form, energy scatters. But with structure, it flows with grace. In moments of doubt or fatigue, you can return to your vision and remember why you're doing what you're doing, not because you're chasing more, but because you're creating a life that feels real, steady, and true. There's a saying that resonates here: the wise one plants trees under whose shade they may never sit. This isn't about delaying joy or sacrificing the present. It's about understanding that the seeds you plant now, whether in discipline, generosity, or clarity, will become the roots of a future self who will thank you. Leo doesn't just live for the spotlight of today. You're preparing a stage that will hold generations of light. And that begins now, with the next conscious choice you make. Change doesn't always arrive with fanfare. Often, it shows up quietly, like the soft cracking of something old beginning to give way. You've laid the foundation. You've reclaimed your power. You've looked ahead with vision. And now, something deeper begins to shift. There's no need to rush or push it forward. The process is already happening within you, like a tree shedding its bark to reveal a stronger layer beneath. The Death card in this moment is not a warning, it's a release. It speaks not of endings in the fearful sense, but of the beautiful unraveling of what is no longer needed. Not because it was wrong, but because you've outgrown it. What's happening now is not just a turning point. It's a transformation. And it may not feel comfortable. Real growth rarely does. It may feel like losing interest in what once excited you, or seeing familiar places with unfamiliar eyes. You might notice relationships shifting, roles dissolving, or inner questions rising without clear answers. All of this is natural. It's what happens when a soul is ready to move forward, not just externally, but in how it relates to life itself. Like a lion shedding its coat in preparation for a new season, you too are shedding layers that once served you but no longer define you. The presence of the Magician alongside the Ten of Pentacles tells us you already hold the tools. You're not waiting to be ready, you are ready. The Magician's power doesn't come from external magic. It comes from knowing how to work with what's already here. You've gathered wisdom, experience, resilience, clarity. You've seen what doesn't work. You've survived what was meant to break you. And now, your resources, both tangible and intangible, are lining up to create a different kind of abundance. That abundance might come in many forms: a professional opportunity, a breakthrough in visibility, a collaboration that opens doors. Something long-seated is about to bloom, but not if you're still clinging to the branch it grew from. Letting go is not weakness. It's the most refined form of trust. And this season invites you to trust not blindly, but consciously. You don't have to know every detail of what's coming. You only need to trust your readiness for what no longer fits to fall away. If this resonates, consider marking this moment with intention. Not a grand ceremony, just something small, but clear. Light a candle and write down what you're leaving behind. Speak it softly aloud, then write a new version of your story from the point of view of someone who already made it through. Someone who already owns their voice, their space, their presence. Because you do. And the more you begin to speak from that future self, the faster it becomes your current reality. There may also be physical shifts on the horizon, relocation, a change in your workspace, or unexpected movement in career or finances. These aren't disruptions. They're realignments. The universe isn't testing you. It's responding to the internal clarity you've been cultivating. When your inner world changes, your outer world follows. That's not superstition. That's resonance. In the philosophy of awakened awareness, there's a teaching that speaks to this moment clearly: all compounded things are subject to change. Nothing fixed, nothing permanent, and that's not something to mourn. That's something to honor. Because it means you are never stuck. Not in a job. Not in an old version of yourself. Not in a way of being. You are fluid, responsive, capable of shedding and beginning again. So if you feel something stirring in you, something restless or ready, listen. Don't rush to label it. Just stay with it. Be curious. Let it speak. Let it lead. Because this isn't just an ending. It's a becoming. And you're not just entering a new chapter. You're stepping into a new era of self, stronger, clearer, more grounded than before. This is the part where you stop asking if you're enough and start acting like you are. Because you are. Sometimes we wait for a sign, a door to open, a person to choose us, a moment that feels big enough to begin. But Leo, maybe the truth is simpler than that. Maybe what you've been waiting for isn't a sign from the universe. Maybe it's a decision from you. A gentle but firm yes to your own power. Because you already have what it takes. The vision. The fire. The wisdom. The support. And most importantly, the permission. This entire journey has been guiding you back to one truth: you are enough, right now. Not once you prove yourself. Not after you've achieved more or fixed what you think is broken. But here, in this exact breath. The way forward is not about becoming something else. It's about remembering who you are when you stop doubting your light. And once you choose to stand in that knowing, everything begins to shift. Doors open not because you forced them to, but because your energy became a match for the life that's been waiting for you. So I'll ask you now, not to test you, but to remind you, what would change if you finally trusted your own voice? What new path might unfold if you stopped holding your brilliance hostage to perfection? Could it be that your next level doesn't require a reinvention, but simply your full presence? You don't need to wait for someone to offer you a seat at the table. You were born to build your own. And as you've seen through each part of this reading, you are not only capable, you're deeply supported. The only missing piece is your full belief in yourself. Not the kind that needs proof, but the quiet, unwavering kind that whispers, "I've got this." If your heart feels stirred by anything we've explored today, let that be the starting point. Take a small action before this day ends. Maybe it's writing a new plan, having a long overdue conversation, or simply honoring your next step with kindness. The only way to live your truth is to start living it. Not later. Not perfectly. But now. And I want to hear from you. Are you ready to step into your most powerful, expressive, authentic chapter yet? Drop a comment below and write, "I'm ready." Let this be more than just a video you watch. Make it a mirror you respond to. And if a number has been following you lately, a time on the clock, a pattern you keep seeing, share that too. Your angel number might just be the sign someone else needs to see today. Before you go, let me say thank you. Thank you for choosing to be here. Thank you for allowing eternal mindfulness to be part of your path today. Every like, every comment, every subscribe you offer is more than an algorithm boost. It's a signal to the universe that this work matters, that truth matters, that you matter. And if you found light in these words, share this message with a Leo you love. Because when one of us rises in truth, we all rise. Keep shining. Keep choosing yourself. And remember, you don't need to become someone else to be worthy of more. You simply need to return to who you already are.